Senator Jon Tester joins us here on set. You guys have been very busy in Washington, but I wanted to talk about the more recent news that hit us yesterday, the FCC's decision with net neutrality. Sounds like you were a bit disappointed with their decision.
Yeah, the internet's worked very, very well with people getting access to it. And what happened with the decision yesterday is that some of the big internet service providers can now slow down speeds, can block you from sites, can make life miserable for retailers who are trying to do business online. And this is important for Montana. Montana, you know, we've got a little over 1 million people here. The internet has allowed businesses to have access to millions of customers all over the world. And if these internet service providers slow down or block access to websites because folks aren't paying the right amount of money, it's really going to take away from the effectiveness of the internet, I believe. So what has to happen now, the FCC's act, and it should have happened a long time ago, is Congress needs to act. We need to put in a bill and get it passed to keep the internet open. And this ruling that happened yesterday, I mean, we'd sent letters to Chairman Pai saying, don't do this. The internet is an incredible success story. People need access regardless of their wealth, regardless of the size of the business. But nonetheless, they did it. Congress needs to step out now, get a bill, get it done. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's just keeping the internet open, so everybody who wants to utilize it has the same ability and the same access to it.
So will you be able to take action immediately, or will this be something that the lawmakers have to wait and see what internet businesses are doing and then go from there?
Well, we could do that, but I really think we need to start working right now. Washington, nothing happens fast in Washington, D.C., so hopefully we can get a bill, and there's probably some right now that may work, and get a bill passed the first quarter. I just think that if you give these internet service providers the ability to slow down or block websites, it's not if, it's when. And so the internet hasn't worked that way up to this time. It's been, you know, if you want to get on, you go. If you get a slow connection, you might have you might have a tough time getting to a website. But if the internet service provider can slow that speed down, that's just flat wrong. And so, you know, for money, I mean, okay, you cut me a check for X number of thousand, we'll speed you back up. That's not how the internet should work. It should be open. It is an incredible economic opportunity, especially for rural America. You know, I look at some of the small towns in Montana that are really, people are moving out, they're seeing depopulation. The internet is really one of the things that can help bring people back into some of these small towns and make them viable again. And if we do this, I think it takes away from that ability.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. I also wanted to move on a roundtable that you are having this afternoon with some of our local law enforcement. Tell us what the theme is and why you decided to host this.
Well, it revolves around drugs and crime. I mean, look, in Montana, alcohol is still the #1 drug, but we've seen meth, opioids enter into the picture. And we're getting law enforcement leaders, leaders from Native American country to come together and say, look, here's the programs we use, this is the program we don't use, whatever it may be, so that we can go back to Washington, D.C. and say, you know what, this program works, it works effectively, find out if they need to be plussed up, find out if the funding's adequate. If it is, we'll leave it alone and keep it where it's at, and plus the ones up that are working really well that are inadequate, and take the ones away that aren't working. So it's really an opportunity for me to hear from them about the challenges they've been facing, because we've seen a lot of it in the news over the last few months, especially of people that have had drug problems that police have had to do some pretty difficult things with. And so how do we get to the root of this problem? And I will tell you that treatment is treating it on the wrong side. We've got to figure out ways to keep people, through education or whatever, keep people from getting involved in drugs to begin with. It ruins lives, happens every day, and we should figure out ways to stop it too. So it's going to be a great discussion. I look forward to it.
All right. Well, hopefully you get some good results from that. Well, I thank you so much for joining us this morning, and best of luck with everything you're doing and your trips around the state. And